In this video, we'll be solving this equation, 3x squared minus 7x minus 6 equals 0. Well, one way we can solve this is by factoring. And right now we have a trinomial here to factor where the leading coefficient is something greater than 1. This 3 is greater than 1. So we're going to use something called the AC method. To do that, we're going to label each of these coefficients and this constant term as A. So A equals 3, B equals negative 7, and C equals negative 6. So the AC method, that is, we're going to find two numbers, and we want the product of those two numbers to equal the same as the product of A times C, 3 times negative 6. So 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. So we want to find two numbers that have a product of negative 18, and we want the sum of those two numbers to be the same as B, or that is negative 7. So we can think about this a little bit, and what we end up with is, let's see, 2 times negative 9. All right, let's write that down. 2 times negative 9. 2 times negative 9 is certainly negative 18, and 2 plus negative 9 is the same as negative 7. So we're going to use those two numbers, and we rewrite this middle term, negative 7x, as the sum of two other terms, negative 9x and positive 2x. And that's why we had to find these two numbers that added up to have a sum of negative 7. So this negative 9 plus 2x is the same as the negative 7x. We haven't changed anything here. We've just rewritten it to help us factor by grouping. And that is the next step. After you rewrite this middle term as the sum of these two other terms, then we factor by grouping. And that starts off as we're going to factor this, 3x squared minus 9x. What's the greatest common factor? Well, that's 3x out of just these first two terms. And that factors as 3x times the quantity x minus 3. Then we are going to factor this, the second two terms, or the next two terms. So we're going to factor a 2 out of the 2x and the negative 6, and that gives us 2 times the quantity x minus 3 equals 0. Now what we say, oh, well, we can factor out this giant factor out of each of these two terms, right? We have this large thing right here, and this large thing right here, and what is common among both of those? Well, it's x minus 3. So we're going to factor out an x minus 3. And what is x minus 3 being multiplied by? Well, it's being multiplied by a 3x and by a positive 2. So we'll multiply that by 3x plus 2. So that is the factoring by grouping. Now we have this last part where we have our mini equations. You set each of these factors equal to 0. X minus 3 equals 0, and 3x plus 2 equals 0. And then solve for x, and you get x equals 3, and x equals negative 2/3. So that was solving a quadratic equation using the AC method to first factor that trinomial. I hope that helps.